Hello and welcome to a tutorial on how to do conditional branches in Python. If you've been following along with these videos, we've done variables and we've turned variables into things like maps and tuples, which is a lot of fun. Now is the lesson where everything comes together. Now is the lesson where we learn why this matters, why variables matter and why lists matter and all those things, and why it's important to define things and give them names. I hope this is a fun lesson for you, and I hope that if you have been following along, then you're like, okay, now I can do this. First thing, of course, you want to be at repl.it, R-E-P-L.it, and you want to create a new Python. Remember, you can do that in a number of ways. You can click the little blue button right here. You can click new REPL there, or if they're really nice to you and your homepage looks like mine, you have it right here, create Python. So create a new Python, name this your name and Python 3. You can do Python conditional branch 2, but this is our third Python lesson, and create your REPL, and it will take you to your IDE here, your IDE. So any other day I would know what that means, but I'm struggling this morning when I'm filming this. So anyway, here you are in your main Python IDE. The assignment that goes with this video is to create a variable called ninjas, and to then build conditional branches off of that one variable ninjas. So the very first thing I want you to do is name your variable ninjas. And give it any number now. We're going to change the number later in the assignment, so it doesn't really matter what number it has. Maybe 45 ninjas equals 45 ninjas. So we have 45 ninjas. That's what we've done. Now, I want you to think very hard, very long about this next question. How many ninjas do you think you could take in a fight single-handedly by yourself? How many ninjas could you fight single-handedly by yourself? I want you to think about that number and keep that number in mind. We're not going to do much with it quite yet, but just keep that number in mind. So right now we have 45 of them, or whatever number you typed there. So think about that, and then we are going to have the program tell us whether it is a good idea to fight that number of ninjas or not, this number right here. And so the computer is going to tell us if it's a good idea to fight them or if we should run away, and it's going to try to let us know what the cost of fighting 45 ninjas is going to be. So we're going to use conditional branches, which is a word for if, else if, or in Python it's elif, and some other language it's else if, but elif stands for else if and else. 3 words. Reserved words in Python, this is why you can't name variables after them, that let the computer know if this condition is true, then this is what you should do. Else, if that condition is not true, else if this other condition is true, this is what you should do, and then else kind of ends your conditional branch. In order to do that then in Python, it's actually super easy. We say if ninjas equals, well, I'll go through those later. If ninjas equals, we'll say 50, right, colon. Now, it's very important in Python conditional branching that the line under your if statement is indented. Also important that you use a colon up here. In other languages, you introduce a branch with curly brackets, but in Python, since Python is not white space sensitive, then it's very important that everything under the if branch is indented the exact same amount. It cannot be indented any more or any less. And I'll show you that. So if ninjas equals 50, and in conditional branches, you need to do 2 equals statements because that indicates that you are not declaring a variable. 1 equals up here declares a variable. 2 equals declares a conditional statement. So the way I remember this is I say exactly equals, and that helps me remember to do 2 equal signs. So if ninjas exactly equals 50, then we are going to print whatever you want to happen. You put on the next line indented. We're going to print, wow, too many ninjas, right? Then we'll go ahead just to show you indenting. I'm going to print, you better run away. You better run away. And then we're going to say if, and then we're going to say else. If ninja else, and we don't have to specify a condition with else. That's what makes else different than elif and if, is else it's just we just say if none of the conditions above this are true, then this is what we want you to do. And so if none of the conditions are true, we just want you to print good luck, right? So now when I run it, it should say good luck because we had 45 ninjas. Now notice what happens if we say 51 ninjas. It's still going to say good luck because it has to exactly equal 50. Which we'll come back to. So now if we say ninjas equals 50, then it says way too many ninjas, you better run away. Now, like I said, everything under your if branches has to be indented the same amount in Python. So let's say I just, this is 2 spaces. Let's say I just did 1. Notice what happens. I'm going to get an indentation error, meaning something is indented that shouldn't be or something needs to be indented further. And so I have an indentation error telling me something's off here. So same thing up here. If I had an extra space, I get the same error. Everything under your if and elif and else branches has to be indented the same. So there we go. Now let's say, obviously, 51 ninjas, it's just going to say good luck, you know, but of course it's going to be a little bit more sarcastic. So now we want to say if it's over 50, if it's greater than 50, and this introduces, I'll just type them here, our logical operators. This is just for me to teach you. Logical operators, like mathematical operators, are there to tell the computer program how to process sort of logic. Mathematical say math, and you remember your mathematical operators are things like plus, minus, the star for the times, and the forward slash for the divide. Your logical operators are this. So I already introduced to you exactly equals, it just means equals. If it exactly equals 50, but then there's other ones, there's greater than, right? And that is your triangle bracket there. And I mean, you all probably should know at this point what a greater than sign is. You also have less than, right? Less than's another logical operator. But then you can combine then. You can have greater than or equal to. That means greater than or equal to. Notice or is a reserved word, which means something else in Python. And then you have less than or equal to, right? That's another one. And then you have does not equal. This is the tricky one because it uses the exclamation point. Does not equal is an exclamation point, equals. And so exclamation point stands for does not and then equals. So that's does not equal, right? Exclamation equals does not equal. And then I think that is all of them. And so you have 6 logical operators then. These are pretty much the same across all coding languages, by the way. There is an obscure database language that I teach a little bit of in high school called SQL, which instead of using the exclamation point here, uses, I think for does not equal, it uses kind of those. Like right there, but in every other language, it's exclamation part equals. So that says equals. So these are the same, and these right here are how you build conditional branches. These right here. So now, for the assignment that goes along with this, keep those in mind. And we're going to go back and we're going to create 5 tiers of ninjas. We're going to create 5 things the computer's going to tell us based off of the amount of ninjas we defined in this variable up here. So remember what I said at the beginning of this lesson 6 minutes ago. I said, I want you to think very carefully about how many ninjas you think you could fight single-handedly. Just think very, very, very much about that. I think that I personally could fight 1,000 ninjas. I think if I got much over 1,000 ninjas, I would be in some trouble. But I could easily take 1,000 ninjas. It's easy, right? Just easy peasy, right? So I want you to think about what that number might be. Have fun with it. And so I'm going to start with then. Remember, we want 5 tiers. I'm going to say if the ninjas is greater than or equal to 1,000, then it's going to say, wow, too many ninjas, you better run away. Okay, so I already did that. It's indented and everything like that. Then I'm going to create an elif statement. Elif in Python comes right under the if. So elif, and here's where things get a little bit tricky. I'm going to say elif if. Elif stands for else if. So if the ninjas is greater than or equal to 1,000, you better run away. But if the ninjas is, we're going to say, greater than or equal to 750, then we'll go ahead and, oh, I forgot my colon. We'll go ahead and print, that's a lot. You might win, but maybe not worth the risk, right? So remember, computer programs read code line by line, and a computer code does not remember what came before, and it does not know what's coming next. And so right here, this should work. And in fact, to test it out, and as you're writing this code, go ahead and test it out. I'll say 888, and it did work, right? But just in case you wanted to create a range, we can use elif to create ranges. So now I can say elif ninjas is greater than or equal to 750, and notice end is a reserved word too, and if it is less than or equal to 999, then it will print. It does the same thing, except it didn't like, oh, sorry, you have to you have to re-put the variable there. That's a mistake I made earlier. So if ninjas is greater than or equal to 750 and ninjas is greater than or equal to 999, then it still says the same thing. So you can use end to create a range, or you can just leave it as ninjas is greater than or equal to 750. Where end is really helpful if there's another variable in here. So let's say we create a strength component, and we say strength equals 10, meaning I'm 10 strength, or we'll say strength equals 100. I'm 100% strength. Now here I could say and strength is less than or equal to 100. So then it will print that. And so that's kind of why you can use end, is you can create some ranges there. So we can even say greater than or equal to 100 here, and we can say 88, and it should probably say good luck. Yeah, now it says good luck because neither of these conditions are true. So it bounced down to the else statement. But if we take strength up to 110, it says that's a lot, you might win, but maybe not worth the risk. Back again, see that? So that's kind of where you use the end, but you can also use it to create, to just create some ranges with one variable. So now we have our second tier. Remember, the assignment's 5 tiers, so we're going to create another tier. Just to review what I've already covered, if ninjas is greater than or equal to, we'll say 500 now. We'll print out something like, that's a lot. You will definitely win, but you might lose a toe. You might lose one of your toes. You're going to win, but it's going to cost you. It's going to hurt. It's going to be a long day, but you know, you'll definitely win, but you might lose a toe. And then we'll create another elif and say if ninjas is greater than or equal to 250, then we'll print something like, you know, easy peasy. Well, we'll save that for the else. Elif ninjas is greater than or equal to 250. We'll say that's not even a fair fight. This will be over soon. Well, we'll say this will take some work, but be over soon, right? And then our else statement, we'll just say, because else it's going to be less than 250, because we've already specified the ranges for above 250. So we'll just say else, and then the computer just understands it's going to be less than 250, right? So else, the number must be less than 250. We don't even need to tell the computer that. It understands logic to a point. So else we'll say easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? So there we have it. So ninjas 888. So now we'll take ninjas down to 236, which is easy, right? And it's going to say easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? And then, you know, we'll type 501, right? And it will say, that's a lot. You'll definitely win, but you might lose a toe. But notice if we drop it down to 499, just 2 fewer ninjas, it will say that's not even a fair fight. You know, those 2 ninjas make the difference. So remember, computers are exact. They don't understand ranges too well, unless, of course, you specify exactly what the range is. So yeah, this will take some work, but be over soon. So that's all about conditional branching. It's a lot of fun once you understand it, and this is this is why we do variables, so that then we can create all these possibilities with them. One more very quick thing that we might add in this is we can actually embed, right? So right here where I said, wow, too many ninjas in my variable, I can say wow and use some concatenation to say plus ninjas. And then here put ninjas. That's too many ninjas. And then we'll bring the number up over 1001. And let's see if it worked. Nope, because I didn't put a plus there. Nope, still didn't like us. So that's weird. It's can't concatenate a string because it's not an int. Okay, so you'd actually have to convert the integer to a string. That's interesting. It should have worked. Can only concatenate string, not int, to a string. I didn't know that, so I thought you could put a string in there. That's weird. So yeah. So anyway, that should work. But it would have worked. Well, I don't know. You'd have to do some conversion and stuff on there, which we're going to learn about in later lessons. So, anyway, so we'll just leave it at, wow, that's too many ninjas, and end out this lesson. There is a way to concatenate the number of ninjas in each variable here. So maybe we'll figure that out in class. But for right now, that's the assignment. That's a little bit about conditional branching. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks for watching.